Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Comics Today show, a show that we do on Wednesday night to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And as a reminder, this show that we're doing right now is actually going to be rebroadcast, if you will, on our podcast. Next week, you will be able to access that on your favorite platform, whatever that platform happens to be. But during this show, what we attempt to do is to talk about some news and current events. And what I do is I invite a guest on to help me to make sense of something. And I will tell you, tonight's guest is an awesome one. We have a lot of ground that I am going to attempt to cover when I bring him on in just a few moments. But before we get to that, we are going to go to the chat in a moment, and we're going to have people shout out the books that they may have picked up at the LCS, because again, this is a celebration of New Comic Book Day, and I will also be announcing the winner of the short box giveaway. This is a new giveaway that I am actually doing in conjunction with the folks at Shortbox. We're going to be doing a giveaway once a month in which we actually give someone a certificate to basically save $100 when they buy something on the Shortbox app. And if you have not yet downloaded the Shortbox app, I definitely want to encourage you to do so. It is a great app for being able to buy and sell graded comics extremely easily. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned for that. And we're actually going to get to that giveaway announcement before we get to our guest. But before we get to those things, we are going to go to the chat here in a hot second. And again, if you made it to your LCS and you had an opportunity to pick up some really cool books, I want you to go ahead and shout that out in the comment section. Let us know what you actually picked up at the LCS. And if you read something that we should put on the top of our stacks, let me know that as well. And I see a couple of people in here. See a couple of people taking notice of the wall in the back. It is going down. It is going down. I finally took some time to actually put some good books up on the wall. So thank you guys for noticing that. Definitely appreciate that. My man Joe was like, I did not make it to the LCS. He did not make it to the LCS. He instead drove to Cape Cod to escape the hot weather that is in New York and New Jersey. So shout out to you, brother. Glad you made it safely down there. Who is that? Somebody picked up a book one. Nerdscape picked up the Spawns universe. I started reading that book. I have not made it through like a third of it. It is a dense comic, and I am trying to make my way through it. So fingers crossed. God's Perfect Idiot. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. He said he picked up Crossover, Department of Truth, High Republic, and we only find them when they're dead, but they aren't dead anymore because they are actually alive, which is a little creepy to me. But here we are. Jericho just got home from work. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. The chat is going fast. What is that? 3-ply core. How you doing, brother? He said, finally caught a live show. It is good to see you. This show is dedicated to you, my friend. Everybody gets a show at least once a year, and this one is your show. It's good to see you, my friend. Kimball in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Rush says he went all over town and picked up 14 X Factor 10s and got rid of them all for a quick flip. I hope that you made a profit with the price of gas out there, my friend. But knowing you, you probably did. Knowing you, it's good to see you, brother. Welcome. Nerdscape, thank you for the compliment on the wall back there. Kimball says he picked up the Green Arrow 80th anniversary. The one cover I saw was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool cover. So I did not know that it was Green Arrow's 80th anniversary, to be honest with you. But I did see that cover and was like, that's an interesting, cool cover. And now I know why. It's because it's an anniversary. There you go. Got the new Black Cat annual, says in massive. Lots of first appearances. That's what's up. Scrolling through the comments again, if you guys picked up some stuff, let me know what you picked up. Nerdscape says, gotta jump on that Department of Truth train. Scrolling through some of the comments. X11, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you, my friend. Steve, how you doing, bro? What's up, Reg? All I got was no one surprised that you picked up Spawn. We all know, sir, that you are a Spawn fan. So that's what's up. Makes perfect sense. My man, L. Smith, where is he? Right there. ENIAC. Yeah, I think that's the correct pronunciation. For all Spawn for 319 covers and the Beta Ray Bill cover. What is that? 4B. Issue number 4, cover B. I think that's what that means. Scrolling through, who is that? What is it? Robert says he gets to the LCS on Sundays. That's what's up. Made in Korea number 2. He says he's looking forward to that. That's what's up. Good stuff. Black comic creators, characters. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. It is good to see you. You and Steve. We're going to have you guys back on the show. I'm thinking maybe next week. We will have you come back on and talk a little bit about that static issue that came out that I thought was incredibly well done, along with a couple of other things. My man Jose picked up Tomb of Dracula 10. Congrats on that. That is what's up. Good stuff, brother. Scrolling through, Jericho, I think it's Jericho. Jericho picked up X Factor 10 and Planet Size X-Men issue number 1. That's what's up. Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's pause real quick. I want to encourage you guys. I think that LCS is going live a little bit later tonight. I want to say about 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Definitely want to encourage you guys to check this out. He is going to be announcing some details around some YouTube creator / Instagram influencer awards. And he reached out to me about a week ago, asked me my thoughts on it. I honestly think it's a great idea, mostly because I'm hoping I get nominated for at least a couple of things. But I believe that he is going live a little bit later tonight to announce the 10 or so categories that people will be able to nominate their favorite YouTuber or Instagrammer for. I don't know all the details, to be honest with you, which is why I'm saying check it out. LCS, I know a lot of people are going to be interested in this. I actually had a few people reach out to me earlier today as a result of me sharing your post on Instagram. If you get a chance, please provide some details here in the chat. Definitely have my permission to do that because I want to encourage people to be able to support that. I see some details rolling in. He is now confirming tonight at 9. Glad that I did not jack it all up. I do pay attention. To some things. So there you go. All right. But again, it's definitely good to see you guys. And I will show you guys some of the books that I actually picked up. I made it to the LCS. My new LCS is Rebel Base here in North Carolina. And I actually picked up a couple of books, picked up the Chameleon Conspiracy issue number 69, Amazing Spider-Man right there. And I will tell you, I haven't read anything. I picked all this stuff up, but have not read anything. They had a huge stack of Tankers number 1 sitting there. I guess they had just received a shipment or found a shipment. I don't know. I went ahead and snatched that up. Tankers number 1 right there. And I already had a copy, but I decided to get another. ENIAC 4. That's what this one is right there. So definitely a cool book. I've been enjoying this one. I had a chance to mix it up with Matt, the writer, maybe a week ago or so on Instagram. Seems like a super nice guy. I'm enjoying ENIAC, so I definitely want to shout that out. And then this is Giant Size Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1, Clone Conspiracy right there. So there you go. Those are the books that I managed to pick up earlier today at Rebel Base here in North Carolina. So a nice little stack of books. What is this? Steve said he also picked up 3 minty fresh Malibu Spawn books. So he's pretty happy about that. Street Fighter over here. That's what's up. Good stuff. All right. So let me scroll through, make sure I didn't miss anything. I think I'm all caught up. All right. So before we get to our guest here, as I promised, I wanted to announce the winner of the new giveaway that we are doing in conjunction with Shortbox. They are basically sponsoring a couple of things here on the channel. I'm excited about it. We've been kind of working together for a while behind the scenes, and it's nice that we're doing a little bit more together. So I definitely want to shout out those guys. The way that we did this giveaway is that there was a video that is going to be released once a month. They're sponsoring 2 videos, but at least one of those videos per month will mention that this is the winning video, if you will. And all you have to do is to basically comment on the video, something substantive, not that first stuff, but something substantive. And I will randomly pick a winner from the comments that are left behind. And we throw out the duplicates and all that kind of stuff because sometimes there's a little bit of back and forth between people. And so we count the one entry, the one comment that is left, we count that. And from that, we pick a winner. And then the winner is announced here. The winner then needs to reach out to me either on Instagram or email at Regie at regiecollects.com, Regie at regiecollects.com. Send me an email and I will send you out the code that you need to actually get your $100 credit from the folks over at Shortbox. And again, if you haven't downloaded the app, please do so. I will try to put a link in the description. So this week's winner, or this month's winner, I should say, is this fella right here, Justin. I think that's Udell, maybe Udell. Justin, you, sir, are the winner. I don't know why I picked this guy. Well, the random picker picked him, but he spelled Reggie wrong. So we may have to throw out anybody that spells it with 2 G's because technically it's only 1 G. But shout out Justin. He is the winner. And you can see here that there are roughly 228 total names that were thrown into the hat. I think in total there were like 365 comments or something like that. So again, we only counted 1 entry per person. But Justin is the winner. And so all he has to do is to send me an email to Regie at regiecollects.com. And I will reply back with the details on how he uses that credit, et cetera, et cetera. So congrats to him. And I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned because we are going to be doing this giveaway every single month. We're going to be doing it every single month moving forward. So Jonathan says, picked up Geiger last week. Haven't read it. I absolutely love Geiger, man. Absolutely love Geiger. I am a huge fan of that comic from Image. And Mark Andrews is correct. Shortbox is unfortunately not available in Canada right now. It's not available, I don't think, outside of the US, period. There's a lot of things going on to actually try to take this thing to Canada and beyond. And I don't want to profess to know any of it, the status of it, the legality of it, the logistics behind it. I will tell you that the folks over at Shortbox are really good people. And I think that it is something that is on their radar. And you will have to reach out to them to find out more details. I don't want to speak out of turn, but the reply says he went ahead and picked up Shortbox. That's what's up. Downloaded it. That is. Is there a theme to the wall? Books that Regie likes. There's no theme, brother. I went to the old sugar box and I pulled out some stuff from the old sugar box. But I mean, you can see that there's a little bit of a theme to some of it, right? So you have the X-Men stuff over here, you know, basically giant size X-Men 1, 2, 3, right? And then you down on below, you have the Spidey. So AF-15, Amazing Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just have some random stuff over here, you know, the Galactus trilogy down there, well, part of it, FF, and just a couple of cool books that were in the old sugar box. And if you don't know what the old sugar box is, I definitely want to encourage you guys to check out some of the videos on the channel because we break down the old sugar box. If you search YouTube for Regie Collects Old Sugar, you will find a video that will provide you all the details. Doc, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Scrolling through some of the names. What is this? Almighty Liger King says, 1G type of guy. He's demanding a recount. That's what's up. Oh man, you are hilarious. Let me scroll it through. Yeah, the wall thing. Well done. This dude right here, 2021 New Age Investments, did a really nice unboxing of some books that he picked up at auction. I watched that on Instagram. I think that was this morning. And I knew someone was going to comment. I knew someone was going to comment on that. I started to put a DC book up there to offset it. And I did not make it happen. So I'm not surprised. Carly, how you doing, brother? Picked up a couple of books here. Oh, no, just one book. Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. That's what's up. What is Reg left? All the DC and Ocean. I had somebody ask me the other day, can you do a video for all your Batman keys? And I was like, I don't know if I have enough comics to do a Batman video. Like, I love Batman. I just don't know if I have enough great keys worthy of something like that, you know? So maybe at some point. All right. So with that said, I am actually going to transition to actually bring my next guest on. And we, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are going to try to cover a lot of ground over the course of my conversation with him, because there's so many things that I want to talk to him about. One of the big things that I want to talk about is the fact that I personally feel like we are in a golden age of like indie comics, creator-owned comics. So we're going to kind of talk about that. But before we get to that, there are some other things that I want to speak to him about as well. And I want to welcome to the show, if I can get the right button. Actually, let me take the banner off so I can bring him on without having a banner across his forehead. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
We need to turn your volume up.
Okay.
a little
All right.
bit.
All right. Is that better?
No.
No.
Let me try to edit it on my side. I can actually
Right.
turn it up. See if I can get you cranked up here. Say something for me now.
Is that a little better?
There we go. John, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for taking the time to have me on. I could always talk about this stuff all the time, so I'm sure we're going to be able to get it on and jump right into it.
Oh, and we will, sir. We will. But it is my absolute pleasure to actually have you on. You reached out to me many months ago about your project that we're going to talk about in a second. And we've been talking back and forth off and on week after week after week. And I've appreciated those conversations. But John, there may be some people out there that are watching this right now that may be listening to this later on the podcast that might not know who you are. Can you give us that 1 minute elevator pitch as to who you are as a comic book creator?
Yes, my name is John Levisay. I've been a professional comic book artist since 1993. I've mostly been inking books. So I've been doing that on everything from Marvel, DC. I was at Top Cow during the heyday when they were super crazy popular. I've worked for Valiant. I've worked for everyone. I've worked on, if you have any Marvel or DC books, you probably have something of mine in your collection. So I've worked on a lot of stuff. And luckily, a lot of high-end books, a lot of nice popular books, and I guess maybe some keys. I don't remember.
Everything's a key this day, John. You know, everything's a key. As soon as a book gets printed, it's a key, right? So you are right on. But the thing that I saw your name on most recently was the nonstop Spider-Man. I think you did some inking on that, right?
Yes, I'm one of the Chris Pacello inkers. Just, there's deadlines, so you got to get the book done. So I have been doing, I think I started working with Chris in 2015 or 16 or something. So I generally just do a chunk of the book, and Chris is amazing, and his pencils are unique enough where we don't have any clones of him, which is I guess a rare thing, but it's very cool. So yeah, so nonstop, I came back and was helping. So yeah, I did a part of 3, but before that we have done Doctor Strange and Deadpool and Peter Parker and Amazing Spider-Man, some other stuff. So
are you doing anything else for Marvel right now besides the nonstop work that you recently did?
At the moment, no, but you never know. Any week that could change if they need help on stuff. And the same thing with DC, like if they need help, they'll hit me up. There might be a DC thing coming. I didn't get an official word on it yet, but I got a feeler last week, and I was talking to somebody doing something there. So maybe we'll see.
Is it because you're an inker that you move, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you move so fluidly between the different publishers that are out there? Is that because you're an inker, like because they always need some help in that vein that you're allowed to do that?
Yeah, if you're not exclusive, you can go work for everyone. I mean, I think in 1 week I worked on 3 different pencilers on 3 different books. So it just, deadlines are deadlines. The book's got to come out, whether it's every other week or once a month. So, as long as you get it done, it's fine. Like if you're working on Valiant, for Monday and Tuesday, then you got to jump on 6 Marvel pages for the next couple of days. No, it's fine. As long as you get your stuff done, they're happy.
And do you move primarily? Well, let me ask it a different way. You going to Marvel, to DC, to Top Cow, to whoever it might be, is it because of the penciler requesting you, or is it more like the publisher is like, hey, we need some help. We know John's solid. Let's reach out to John. Or is it a combination of things?
It's the combo. It's both. So if you have a good relationship with a penciler, they can always request you. And I've been told by editors they would rather have that, because then they don't have to try to hope that you'll gel with him or anything. So it's always easier. But, then editors always want to know that they know they can count on you. That's the biggest thing. You won't screw them over the deadline. You won't just flake on them or, anything. But it's kind of a combo of both. So yeah, you have guys like, I'll have pencilers hit me up, or the editor will call me like, oh, hey, such and such asked for if you have time to do this. And Yeah, so
That's
it's
very
kind of
helpful.
well.
And one of the things that I'm curious about is, from the creator side, is there a big difference between how like Marvel does their books versus how DC does their books? Or is it all essentially the same? Like,
Yeah.
here's the pencils, get it done. Here's the deadline, make the magic happen. I mean, I'm not sure whether there's like a Marvel method for inking. You know what I'm saying?
No. As long as it's good, that's the most important thing. I mean, it just depends. I move my hand different than other inkers, and other guys use different tools than I do. So as long as you get if they love it, that's the most important part. So if they dig you, they'll keep using you, and as long as you're not a pain in the butt, they'll. It is. I mean, some guys are just a pain, and if you want to get that reputation, you're easy to work with. You're never a problem. You turn your stuff in on time, and there's always the thing that happens. You might be a day late. Just life happens. Things happen. It's just it's the way it is, and they kind of generally put a little buffer for that, but sometimes they can't. I got a cover one time from Marvel. I had 3.5 hours to do it, and that was including before I actually got a printer because I had to print out in blue line. I got the file. I had to drive the Kinkos, get them to print it out. They didn't print it in blue. They printed it in green. And I was like, whatever. I go, here's some money. And I just ran out the door, and I'm driving back home. And I think I got that cover done in about like 2 hours and 50 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
There wasn't a lot on it, so I didn't take any shortcuts, but it's just, you're just going and going and going. Basically, I would say for like me, it's just instinct and muscle memory. You just do it. There's no, you can't have any thoughts. It's like, all right, like, oh, I'm done. And you scan it and send it off. And
Done.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh, I just hope there's no smears or things you really have to fix. I mean, if there's a little nonsense here and there, you can always do a little inker tricks and make it look cool.
So let me ask you this, because I don't know that I had thought about how much time you might spend on an individual page until you gave me a little bit of frame of reference. Right now, I know that 3 hours potentially isn't a sufficient amount of time to get it, to work on it, to get it. How much time do you spend on? Give me how much time you spend on an average cover and maybe an interior page. Like how many hours do you spend on those two things?
Well, you have to take in the factors of who the penciler is. Some guys have a lot of detail, which is generally my thing. I like doing that, and I seem to be pretty good at doing it. So I have my way I can do everything. So if you get a guy who's simpler, which is just if they're doing just shapes and there's maybe a bleed or two here and there, that's what's quicker. But I mean, I would rather just do 1 page a day. That's enough. You can still have a life. You can go do stuff. I just
you could eat. You could talk to people.
I've done it before. So I had another drafting table next. You can see the one behind me. I had another one. I would just put my food on there, and I'd be shoveling in. I'd be drawing with this hand, but I'm like you. I work out a ton. So if I don't have at least my minimal time to do my workout every weekday, I'll feel I won't have. It's weird. Like it's not like I'm gonna be bursting with energy and I can go draw all day, but I'll still feel like a little like
Yeah.
So it does help. Even if I get like a good solid big 30 minutes in of exercise, I can stay up. It helps. You can stay up all night. So
yeah,
if I can do 1 page a day, that's perfect because you can focus. You can put all the care and love and and I'm very hard on myself. So I want to make sure every line is just perfect. And that's not a thing you can really accomplish, but as much as you can. Sometimes 2 pages are fine. That's what they generally want. I had an editor tell me one time, if an inker can't do 2 pages a day, you're useless to me. And you can do that. And that's kind of the general guideline, but it's, you just can't do anything all day. And but you really, and you don't want to have pages you can't show anybody that like, I just had to do this really fast, and you're not interested in showing somebody. Like if you're at a convention, you're set up like, oh, hey, like they're going to be looking at them and like, oh yeah, that one's fine.
I have videos like that, brother. So I definitely get it. When you rush a little bit too much and you're like, it's not my best work. So I definitely get that.
And that's just life, whether, and it's just, you got to do stuff during the day. And some days you don't, you can just work, but there's things that come up and you got to do things. And I mean, there's been weeks. I remember we were at Top Cow when we had like the crazy deadlines, and I don't think I left the house for like 10 days. Or I stayed up during Darkness 11, which was a massive, like the best-selling issue that year. I inked half that issue, and I stayed up for 52 hours. I was like, I gotta get these done. And then after that, when I hit that 52nd hour, I took a nap on our studio floor, and I told my roommate, who was the amazing Joe Weems, he's another great inker. I was like, I gotta take a 20-minute nap. If I do not get up, you gotta come over and just give me a kick, because I have to get up and finish this stuff. But I like physically just couldn't I had to give my eyes a break.
I actually told a story in a video recently about how I was working at this job. It's like this really important job in my career that I was working, and I was sleeping basically 4 hours a night in order to get it done, right? And I honestly, I left this out of the story. I used to occasionally take cat naps in my office. I literally used to just lay on the floor, and I would set a timer for like 15 or 20 minutes, and we had solid doors, and I would just recharge and hit it again. It's not the best way to survive, let me tell you. And my buddy Mark Andrews reached out to me, and he's like, that's not a good way to do. But go ahead with your thought.
It's and I had just done that kind of recently the last year. Oh, there's Sam. So Sam would keep calling me, why aren't you done with these pages for Slow City Blues? And I was like, dude, I'm getting them done. And, I have a 4-year-old daughter, so we're doing stuff with her all day. And then I would have to work at night. So I'm trying not to fall asleep exactly at midnight. And sometimes I would just do what you said. I would sleep on my floor here.
Yep.
And I got a little clock. I put the clock like inches away from my face. So it was so uncomfortable that I could at least I get a quick nap for like 30 or 40 minutes. And then I would wake up, I see the clock, all right, I got to get up, and just make sure I did, sleep for 7 hours on the ground with my big carpet indentation on my face and stuff. So
just to be clear, we are not encouraging people to do what we are talking about right now. These are extremes when you have to get stuff done. In fact, I'm going to do a video where, I did a video recently on talking about balance, right? And balance is important. Sometimes you have to chuck balance, and I'm going to do a video on sometimes you have to like ignore balance and you just have to go in to get it done. So that's a video that's going to be coming up. But one of the things that I noted about you is that you are not only a fantastic inker and creator in your own right, but you're also a comic book collector as well. And I'm curious whether you being a creator conflicts with you being a collector, or whether it's complementary. And I have a reason that I'm asking you that question, but let me hear your thoughts on that.
No, I've been collecting. I got into comics when I was 4, so I've been collecting forever. And weirdly enough, like I had like all this help and encouragement when I was a little kid. Like my grandfather was very into like pushing me. He's like, you got to get those 10 centers. You got to get those 10 centers. And I was like 7. And I was, like, I can't afford them, so, but luckily I grew up in Detroit. I actually grew up on 8 Mile. I finished, yes. Yeah. So when I finished first grade, we moved a few miles down to 15 Mile, but I did grow up on 8 Mile over on 8 Mile in Kelly. And there was, back in the day, there was so many good comic shops in Detroit and everywhere. Michigan was a massive comic state, and there was a lot of good flea markets everywhere. So my grandpa would just take me, and like we go to this there was a weekend flea market over on 10 and Groesbeck, and they'd always have good stuff, and you could go get things, and everything was so cheap back then. I could spend $1 and get a whole bunch of books. And even back then you could still just, the recycling for a soda can in Michigan was 10 cents. So I could be 10 years old. I could take an hour and go find 10 cans. I'd have $1 for more comics. So I didn't even know what bags and boards were until I started going to like a real comic book shop regularly. So my grandfather would get those produce bags from the grocery store, like the clear ones, and we would put comics in there. We didn't have any boards. And then I found out about those, and I was like, all right. So then my dad would bring home really hard manila file folders, and I cut those up for boards. And it's funny, I still have some of those in some of my bags, and they haven't yellowed, which is astonishing, because I just did a massive reboarding and rebagging of all my better books about 6 or 7 years ago, because I hadn't looked at them in forever. And I was like, oh, these are old. So I just chucked them on, rebag them all and stuff. And then, you know, and it was nice because I got to notice some of the books were better in shape than I thought. And then there was a few that were worse shape that I remember. So I was like, all right, whatever, you know, at least I still have them. But yeah, I definitely got a lot of help. My dad was always the best. Like my dad's like the greatest guy. He would take me all the time. And when we moved from 8 Mile, the other place, so we found the comic shop and he'd take me every week. And he was great. And back then, comics were so cheap. I was getting everything. The only thing I wasn't getting on a regular basis was Superman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Conan. I was getting everything else.
Be careful because there's a lot of those fans here in this room. So just
no, I was a little kid. I just for some reason I mean I like, you know, like I like Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman when they're in the Justice League, so I could get Justice League and they're still in it. So or if they'd have the team ups and everything. So.
Makes sense. So I asked you that question for several reasons, and I grinned throughout it for several reasons. Part of the reason why I asked you that question is because I talk to a lot of comic shop owners that actually struggle with being a comic shop owner and a collector, right? Yeah. They feel like they can only be one. Like if they are a collector, then they want to hold on to things or price them too high because they technically don't want to let them go. So that's why I was asking whether you saw it as being complementary or a little bit of detriment. And I hear nothing but compliments come out.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's great. I only had one regret, like of a book I worked on that I have a copy of everything I've done that's been published, and even a couple of things that haven't been published. But there was one book, and it's so expensive now. I've yet to go buy it, and I just stupidly gave away the only copy I had because at the time, you know, it was whatever. But it was that What If Venom Possessed Deadpool, that one shot. Ooh. And weirdly enough, the penciler for my book, Slow City Blues, Sean and I worked together on that last story in the back. And what you know is when it came out, I was like, oh, this story's fun, it's silly. And I was at the New York Comic Con, I had the art with me, and some guy's like, oh, I gotta buy this is hilarious. And I was like, oh, here, you know, here's the issue, you know, whatever. I'll go get another one later. And somehow I just forgot, and I usually never do that. I have a really good memory, and I just blanked out or whatever. I was like, oh, I can get it, whatever. And then all of a sudden it just skyrocketed in price, and it just irks me to no end that whenever I randomly see it, and I look every store I go to, anything I randomly see if somebody has forgotten and left it in the regular bin, and it bugs me to no end that I do not have that book.
I definitely get that, and part of the reason why I was laughing is because I'm actually from Detroit. 7
Oh,
Mile.
where?
7 Mile.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was born on St. John's on 7 Mile.
Yep. Most of my family went to Osborne or Pershing. But yeah, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and went to high school in Oak Park, Michigan. And I still have a lot of family in some parts of Michigan, but certainly in Ohio and New York and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I really enjoyed that response. So thank you.
Most of my family still lives around there. But yeah, I grew up right back then where 8 Mile and Kelly, right across where that street where Eastland was.
Oh, there you go. Very good.
So, yes.
Very good. So you actually have already brought it up a couple of times, and we saw Sam here in the room. A couple of people making note of just how underrated inkers are. So I want to kind of acknowledge that because I think that they are spot on, right? But you've brought it up a couple of times, and Sam is here in the room. You are currently working on your own creator-owned project, Slow City Blues. And I saw some information come out recently that I believe you guys have 200 or so backers that have allowed you to reach your initial goal, because this is a crowdfunding funded type of project, and you are on your stretch goal. And when I read this, I think it was yesterday, you guys were about $2,000 short of your stretch goal. Am I spot on in those facts and figures?
Yep. We got 6 days left, and I believe we're just a smidge under $2,000 that we're shy away from the first stretch goal. So yeah, we're getting there. So
first I would say congratulations, because I think that's important, right? So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And then secondarily, I want to ask you to provide folks with a little bit of an overview, if you can, like, you know, that 1 minute elevator pitch as to what Slow City Blues is. And then secondarily, why you decided to get involved in this, given your history in comics, given your 20 or so years in this industry. What prompted you to get involved?
I had gotten asked a lot if I was going to do a creator-owned book. I was always so busy doing pages. I literally never gave it a single thought. And then a mutual friend of Sam and mine's, our partner Mike Manning, he got me in touch with Sam, and it just kind of just kept snowballing from there. Like Sam and I had our first phone call, and you know, I thought the story was really good, and I figured I was like, well, I wasn't going to write anything, so this is kind of in the process of getting ready to go. So I figured, you know, it's good, and it seemed like the time. It seemed like the right time, and like you had just said at the beginning of the show, we're kind of. I guess we're a little bit further into the golden age of creator-owned books. It's been going on for quite a while, but it definitely, I think last year was a real pinnacle with everything being at a standstill. And most people couldn't go to comic shops. So definitely it was a very huge leap forward to get things out. You know, people were home, and I even took, you know, with being home all the time last year, I finished all the pages, you know, so it, you know, as terrible as it was, it did help us and probably other people to finish up their artwork for the books.
There is definitely a double-edged sword nature to the pandemic, right?
Yes.
I was super productive during that time, you know, and it sounds like you were as well. But give us that snapshot as to what Slow City Blues is.
So I know Sam is watching. He's gonna get all mad if I get this wrong. So I printed it out because I always end up giving like I just did an art show the other day, and I gave like a very, very short like description. So here we go. We're going to read it. Dun, dun, dun. Slow City Blues is an ongoing series following Detective John Loris, who gets trapped inside his imagination after a horrible accident causes him to try and take his own life, but ends up in Slow City, a construct of his mind's eye, a place where anything is possible except the way out. There he must battle his deeply rooted life and examine who he truly was before ending up in this self-made purgatory. So I know Sam will tell me I screwed that all up. So.
Well, Sam's the writer, so we leave the words to him. But essentially, I've read, I think it's like almost like a Roger Rabbit type of futuristic story type of thing. Is that a fair assessment? Because I mean, I've heard you draw, you've inked some pretty interesting characters for this book as well.
Yes. So basically, our main character, John Loris, is the only human-looking character in the story so far with this first storyline. Everyone else, as you've seen, I've sent you many scans and a lot of pages and stuff. Everyone else is not human. They're just different versions. They're all different versions of who he knew in the real world, and it's just his different mind's take on those people. Whether his partner, his wife, other things he's mentioned, and even to the fact where just everything he's come in contact, whether reading stories to his son and just retaining all that information, and it's just stuck inside his head. And this is basically what he's dealing with inside that he can't get out.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting story. The artwork that was done, I think, is really incredible, right? The covers, the interior pages, I think, are really well done. So again, congrats on that. One of the things that I took away from a lot of what I've seen and read was honestly like your relationship with others in this industry has been beneficial in terms of the caliber of artists that have come to work on this project, that have done some covers and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with those people, how you brought them out to support this project, and how things are going just in general with the creative side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so I've been fortunate that I know generally everybody. I mean, there's been such a massive influx of artists and writers over the last handful of years. I hadn't been going to that many cons, so I wasn't meeting all these new people. I would meet some here and there, but luckily I know a lot of people, and I guess they still like me, so that helps. Yeah, so like when you were mentioning on the covers, half of the people I already knew and was friends with, so that was just, easy phone call, and whether they had the time, schedule permitting. And then the other people, I just cold emailed them, and I was
really,
I was just expecting no's, because you know, it's not a Batman cover, it's not a Wolverine cover that they can really get a lot of mileage out of, or that they can sell the original for a ton, or that I tell them there's this very large skunk in the book. So I was expecting instant no's, but I was shocked. They said yes, and as you've seen the list, they're all mega A-list guys, and I gave them a long deadline. I go, look, I know you're busy. I will make it as workable as possible. You just get it done. You tell me your rate, and you know, so once in a while, like, oh, I don't know. I was like, it's fine. Just you know, put it to the side for a month. We'll get back to it. You know, just, you know, get it done. And some of the guys, like, they've turned in like a couple of the best pieces I've ever seen them do, and I can honestly say that as everyone has seen the covers already. I mean, they are beyond amazing. So I was very fortunate to get. I mean, we've got the best cover lineup out of any creator-owned book. You know, who I don't know, doesn't have Netflix money, or is. I mean, I'm as dumb as it sounds. I'm just an inker, and I was able to get this going, which is some miracle. I was even able to get it all done. But
I think it's because of your reputation in the industry. I mean, the fact that you've been doing this for so long, the fact that, to your point, people like you or like skunks, I don't know, a little bit of both maybe. But the list of people that are supporting the project are impressive. I mean, I saw that Rob Liefeld actually sent out a tweet acknowledging how well the covers looked, and I thought that was a good thing, because I mean, he didn't have to do that, you know, but I thought that was really cool. And the other thing is, you guys have received a lot of press coverage. I mean, like, they're like Variety, I want to say, maybe Hollywood Reporter, comicbook.com. I mean, there's been a lot of coverage of what we got. A lot. What is that attributed to? I mean, like, I don't want you to give away your secrets, but I'm curious, like, why do you think you guys are getting so much coverage? And is it because of this golden age of indie comics and creator-owned comics that we're talking about, or is it something other than that?
I think, you know, first of all, like, we had sent PDFs out to all those respective news outlets, and they liked it. I think if they didn't like it, they would have just said, "Oh, we're not covering this. Like, we got other stuff to do." So, I mean, yeah, we got a crazy amount of press. I mean, even getting that main page in the Hollywood Reporter was a surprise to us. I was at the gym, and Sam's calling me, and I was like, what? And then my wife called me, and I was like, okay, what happened? And she's like, you got to call Sam. And I was like, all right. I was like, wait a
minute. Sam called your wife?
Yes, to tell me to pick up the phone. Yes. So, and I couldn't fib to him and tell him I wasn't at the gym, because she told him I was at the gym. And then he was going to get more mad that I wasn't home, I don't know, tweeted or something, and I was too busy working out. So,
hey, brother, the pump is important. Okay.
It is. And
Sam has to understand that the pump is important. Okay. So, and I didn't know you were a fitness guy. I like you from Detroit, and you're a fitness guy. I like you more and more, brother. I like you more and more.
And there was another half of that question. I'm sorry, I forgot.
I don't know what it was. I got lost in the pump and Sam being mad and calling your wife. I don't know.
Oh, with all the press and how I know people. So yeah, it did. It was amazing. I even had a lot of people like just texting me and calling. Like, I don't understand how you guys got all this. I mean, what do you, you know? And I was like, you know, you just send this all out and reach, and you hope that they notice, and it was amazing. So we got a ton of coverage, and we got a lot of the positive reviews from the people who got to read the PDF. Like, it was very flattering. It was very humble that, again, this is just out of nowhere. It's a crazy story. It's got the skunk. And even like you said, it was nice. Rob didn't have to tweet that. I just saw him Sunday at this art con, and I was able to say hi and tell him thanks and stuff. I had like a quick 2-minute conversation with him, but it was very generous that everybody was helping with the retweets, whether it was Jimmy Palmiotti or Liam Sharp or any of the other people that I was like, hey, just if you dig it, can you please, whatever. So it's all comics. That's what it is in comics. It's all helping each other because either there's no money or people only have a little money, so it's just all helping each other out and helping you push forward. And if you like, I've always told my other friends, like, look, if you have a cover you need, just tell me. I'll ink it. I don't care. You know, I don't need. I go if. I'm not worried about the money. If we're at a show, you can buy me a sandwich and a beer. It's no big deal. I know how hard it is to put this stuff out, and it's a pain. I mean, it's just nonstop work and pressure and stress, and you don't want to put out, just generic looking artwork. So I've put that out to a bunch of my buddies. Like, if you need help, just send it to me. I'm not going to say no.
And you guys are doing some great stuff. So I definitely, again, applaud you for all of that. And I should probably also mention that, there are 200 plus people that have supported your crowdfunding program. And again, our campaign, and I'm going to put a link in the description. I didn't do it yet, but I will. But there are still 6 days left on this campaign, the stretch goal. I'll put the link in there. I definitely want to encourage people to support it. And not only did I buy a couple of the packages that you guys offer, I actually did a cover as well. And you guys reached out to me. We had a great conversation, and I decided to do a cover. And this is it. And I think this one is affectionately known. Oh, man, come on. Hold on. Let me take this off screen so we can appreciate this. All right. So this, can I make you bigger? I don't know if I can make you bigger. There we go. That's a little bit.
Yeah, there we go.
So this, I think, is affectionately known as the fences cover, right? Or the fence cover?
Yeah, the fence. Yeah.
And this thing is cool, man. You inked this, and the artist on this was who?
Patrick Olaf.
And I knew that. I wanted you to just say it though. Yeah. But you the two of you did a really solid job on this, and you sent this out. You tweeted it out, and I was mad at you. You tweeted it out, and I was mad because my people like the black and white stuff, and I wasn't going to do the black and white cover. Yeah. So I was like, you can't do that, John. But
I got to make sure they can see. They can really. When I was doing the tweet, at least they can enlarge it so they can really take it in and see everything. So, but Pat,
it's really well done.
I've been buddies with Pat forever. He's a phenomenally good penciler. We worked together a lot in the early 2000s. So we did Spider Girl and a ton of other stuff. So he is insanely good. And that, it's weird. Like, I'm so picky about stuff. And obviously the fence took a while to do, and, all that other stuff and everything else I did. But I was finally happy with his head of hair. And everyone that looks at that cover cannot even bother to look at. I was like, no, look, I got the little shape right there. It's okay. And like, yeah, man, look at this, look at that, look at the crowbar. So
I think that might be one of those things only an inker can truly appreciate. The texture of hair. But I think it's really well done. And we actually did something really fun for this one. We actually made this thing into foil, right? So I think the fence is going to be foil, which is kind of cool. It takes me back to the 90s, right? Because I like shiny things.
It's gonna be we're gonna look at some proofs, but if the printer can pull this off, it's gonna look super, super crazy with how intricate everything is back here with the fence. I mean, it's gonna pop. He's gonna pop off the page like he's in 3D. We can get that. Crossed. Yeah, I think it's gonna be very, very unique. I think you're gonna have something that's gonna be super duper cool. Even with the sheets of the garbage and the paper floating by him behind, all that'll be, you're going to have a crazy good 3D effect. It's going to look really nice.
I'm excited about it. And so if folks are interested in picking this up, this is actually available on regiecollects.com. I didn't put a crazy price behind it or anything like that, but it's available there, limited to 500 copies. Potentially, because of how, things happen with shipping, the total number sold will probably be lower than that, but it will be limited to 500. So if folks are interested, it is available on the site. I'm reading Sith Lord's comment here. 90s is the best with the shiny covers, brother. I am a collector of the 90s, my friend. So I definitely get that. So I do want to shift gears. Gears to what I kind of teed up at the beginning of the show. And I've said this consistently over the course of like this last, year, 18 months, that I believe we are in a golden age of indie and creator-owned comics. And that is not to take anything away from the actual golden age. It is simply to acknowledge that I personally feel that the indie companies and publishers are putting out some really amazing work. And it's okay if you disagree with me, but I
No.
am curious whether you would agree with that or what your thoughts are around the current phase that we are in right now when it comes to indies and creator-owned properties.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, there's a slew. I mean, you can go to the shop any week now. Just like I went a few hours ago and got my stuff, and I mean, there was a lot of Green Arrow covers, but there was a ton of just all the independent books. I mean, there's just I don't know if there's a new one every week, but it kind of feels like it because I'm looking at it, I scan every single thing, and man, a lot of books. And you know, sometimes I'll have the time, I'll flip through each one to see if there's something I'm not aware of at the moment, or I try to keep abreast of everything that's going on, whether it's creators or if I see some artwork I like. And it's hard to see everything. I will admit that, but I try to keep up on everything. But yeah, there's so many creator-owned books, and that's just in the comic shop. Then you have all the crowdfunding books, which there's probably maybe the same amount. I mean, it's
if
so
not
many.
more.
Yeah, if not more. But yeah, no, it's definitely, you know, we've got just a lot of good artists. Like there's been a massive influx of artists that have showed up over the last 4-6 years, or even probably longer. But yeah, there's a lot of books, and you know, there are only so many books DC and Marvel can do.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so
or should do.
Yeah, you know,
And I say that because I feel like sometimes the quality starts to decline when they're putting out 100 or so titles every single month, and 80 from one and 100 from another. That's a lot of content.
It's a lot. So I mean, they're only gonna be able to put out so much. I mean, and then all those other artists are just gonna have to get that creative output done in another form, whether it's at Dark Horse or it's at Boom or Vault or Scout or whatever, but they can just put out their own stuff now. Yep. So it's just easy. There's so many different printing houses where you can get your stuff made, and as we've seen, everyone's doing it. So, and there's a lot of good, and it's the same thing. There's a lot of really good books. There's a lot of good books, and then there's just a lot of books. So it just, everybody has a growth trajectory. So you got to start off, and just like how I was, I dropped it. I went to the Kubert School for art, and I only went for a year and a half. I dropped out. I just taught myself for another year. I just started getting work. I didn't stay the whole 3 years. I'm just not a school guy, but some guys, I need to just jump in and do it. And probably there's a lot of guys the same way. So like, they'll go out and just get their first comic printed. Maybe it might not be the best thing, but you just need that experience. You need that practical experience
to hone the craft.
Yep. And you got to go to cons, and you got to you got to shake all the hands and kiss all the babies and get everyone to just see your book. And you got to do the P.T. Barnum pitch on it like over and over and over again. So, you got to keep telling people. So, and, now that we got cons starting to come back, it's a little easier. So we'll see, hopefully everything should be fine, and we can, still get that going. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. And you named off a couple of indies out there. I have a list here of a couple of like Boom Studios, Dynamite, Ablaze, AWA, Scout, which you mentioned, TKO Studios. And again, I could name a ton more, but they're all putting out, I think, really fantastic content that, again, Marvel and DC still are dominant, but these indies are doing their thing. And I can't remember the number. I'm gonna probably get the number wrong, but to your point about crowd-funded projects, I think last year it was like $22 million or something that was raised in the sector of comics and graphic novels on Kickstarter alone. It was a record year. So, I mean, let me ask you this. There have been many periods of indies over the decades, right? This is not the only time that we've seen this surge, if you will. We saw it in definitely the 80s, definitely the 90s, right? How do you think that this period that we're in now compares to maybe some of those other times? And what I'm trying to get to is those periods kind of came and went. Do we think that the phase that we're in right now with some of the aforementioned will be around a little bit longer than maybe some of the ones that were out in the 80s and 90s and have kind of gone away and never been heard of again? What are your thoughts on that?
I would think it's just like everything. There's either a phase or the period. I mean, we might be around for a while. with this, you know, because hey, you know, we have the crowdfunding, we have the access, and there's a lot more people that have the ability to, now they can just get their comic out, whether they live in the US or they live overseas in any other part over there, so they can instantly get, you know, you can get your eyes on it right away. Where back in the day, it just wasn't going to happen. And I was buying all those books in the 80s, like you said, with the massive black and white surge of indie books.
Yeah.
And it was, I guess it was too many, because I was buying a lot of them. And it was just the irony that they're all in black and white on newsprint, and they were still a little more than buying Spider-Man. So, you know, but yeah, I bought all that stuff. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff, and, you know, then just everything was just kind of average. But, you know, we're kind of seeing the same thing now, but it's in a much higher playing field. It's, you know, the quality's way better. The paper's 100 times better.
Yeah.
And the coloring, you know, everything is. So it's so much easier now to do that. But I definitely think we'll have a longer period than whether, I don't even remember when the 80s one stopped. Was it 88?
Something like that. But go ahead with your thought. Where were you going with that?
No, I was just trying to remember, like, because it was so big, I was buying, and I still have all that stuff, but
so do I. I mean, part of the reason why I bring it up is because I have a collection that I acquired of 100,000 comics. And in that collection are a lot of indie books. And I call them obscure books because a lot of people that weren't collecting in the 80s have never seen them. Yep. And some of them are really good. Some of them not so much, right? Yep. And so I'm kind of contrasting it to what I see now from some of these studios that these publishers that I just mentioned. And the quality feels different to me. And I was curious whether you, as a long-term collector and also as someone in the industry, also sees that difference in the 80s, 90s versus where we are in the 2000s. That's kind of where I was going.
Yeah, no, of course. There's the quality difference. I mean, like you had just said, there was a handful of books that were very good. And we ended up getting a few artists who, you know, broke in with those indie books, whether it was Dale Keown or stuff like that. And they turned into phenomenally just juggernauts in the industry. So you're always going to get that, you know, it's just people have to start somewhere, you know,
I like you more and more, brother. I'm going to tell you why, because you just mentioned Dale. What's funny is I just found his first published work this last weekend in my collection.
I probably have it. It was
don't give it away. No. I want people to watch the video. Don't give it away. All right. Cliffhanger. That's what we do here. Yeah. John, I want to thank you, brother, for hanging out with me. I have absolutely enjoyed this conversation, and I want to thank you for taking time to talk with me about all of this stuff, to give us the insight. Before I let you go, where can people find you on social media? Because I know you're on Instagram, but I think you like Twitter more. But where can people find you if they're interested in checking out some of your work and some of your fantastic collection that you've been posting up on Twitter?
My Twitter handle is the number 1. So @1 John Levisay. And then for Instagram, it is @levisay.inks. And also to find updates and information about our Slow City comic, the handle for both, for Twitter and Instagram, is @SCB Comics. So you can hit us up with any questions, and if you have questions for me, I'm trying to find, like, I just put up that Rip Hunter #1 today, and I was like, I don't know, I was gonna try and put up like a super different rare book for you today since I was coming on, and I was like, I don't know, I was running around. I was like, I don't know what to do. So I just took that picture of that. I go, look, I don't know who has this one. So it was maybe not the rarest book, but I'm sure most people don't have it.
I have young children as well, so I understand running around the house trying to get things done before you have to do something at a scheduled time. Again, brother, I absolutely appreciated this conversation. I'm going to try to post up some links in the description of this video so that folks can actually track you down. But thank you for your time, and I will definitely be in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And everyone, please check out the Slow Cities Blues campaign on Zoop. We got 6 days left, and we got a little something for everyone, whether you're a floppies guy or you like the hardcover. We have both. Everything's very reasonably priced, so I didn't want to exclude anybody that might think they didn't have enough to buy this. So everyone can be included and can enjoy it.
There you go. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was fun.
Absolutely enjoyed that guy. He and I have been going back and forth for quite some time, having a conversation over honestly, the last few months. And because of him and because of Sam, the writer, that is why I decided to go ahead and support this project, because I enjoyed them and I enjoyed the story behind how they kind of came together. They share with me some of the pages from the book, and I was blown away by the artwork, so I decided to get it. And I've seen several people actually place orders since we've been on air, so I definitely want to thank all of those people for supporting me, trying to support these guys with bringing Slow City Blues to life. And as a reminder, that comic will be coming out, I do believe, in September. So as soon as it comes in, I will be shipping those out to folks. Let me go to the chat real quick to see whether I am all caught up. Grand interview. It's fun watching, bro. You can watch it live, my friend, and in full color, in 4K. It's all going down. I definitely appreciate that. 2021 says, thanks, John, for the info. And Sam, good stuff, man. What is this? What is this? Regie Collects is a YouTube PhD level course in collecting. Man, I tell you, I have fun with this stuff, man. I really do. I have fun talking to these creators. I have fun talking to just regular comic people that collect in this hobby. And this is a hobby that should be enjoyable, you know, and hopefully people understands, you know, that's what you see here. What you see is just people having fun. And, you know, we talk about the money and that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, man, this is a hobby. We all have stresses out there outside of this room. But when I come in here, I want to enjoy myself. And I just enjoyed that conversation with John. So shout out to John, shout out to Sam. I definitely appreciate you guys. I am going to wrap this up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. I hope that you enjoyed this discussion. And as I mentioned, I'm going to put the links in the description. And certainly, if you want to take some Regie on the go, this thing will be replayed on the podcast starting next Monday. So definitely tune in for that. As always, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.